Do men recover different in divorce? That's what data shows. And the guys that recover the hardest, they're the guys with the more traditional roles. Soldiers, boxers, fighters. They're slower to respond. And that's because they're stuck in the traditional ideas of recovery. Meanwhile, your ex, she may be feeling guilty, but at the same time, she's still living. You have to think outside the box, think different. My name is Rene Garcia, and I'm a divorce and recovery coach for men. I've been featured in New York Times and I've worked with over 1,000 divorcing men throughout the entire world. My job is twofold. First part's the divorce, and that's to keep costs down and expedite the process. That's going to take hiring the correct divorce attorney, divorce strategy, and negotiating style during these high conflict situations. Then there's the recovery part, the fun part. Healing, that's not good enough. It's about thriving and making sure that this makes you a better person and prepares you for a better future. Today, I'll be answering questions that men have about divorce so that they come out stronger. I'm going to break it down into 7 parts. First, it's acknowledge that she's been thinking about this for at least 2 years. In other words, she took time to think about it. Telling you was the hard part. Now the rest, she's going to coast through it. So accept it. Second is people are going to tell you to get an attorney, but that's a knee-jerk response. You may not need one. Third is get educated about yourself and the divorce process. Videos like these would be a good start. Fourth is make a doctor's appointment. So the first question I asked during my customer intake form is when they last made a doctor's appointment. I need to make sure that they're ruled out for depression or low testosterone, even STDs. You need to know any kind of physical limitations that you may be having in the future. But your mental health is going to be very important here. Fifth is develop a divorce team. It doesn't have to be something formal, but you just need to know who's on your side and who you can trust. You want to develop and talk to people that have like a yeah, but approach rather than yes and approach. And by that I mean, you want somebody that's gonna be yeah, but this. Let's think of it this way. They're more analytical. They're analyzing the approach to the divorce. But develop a divorce team, and you want to get people that are going to be challenge you. 6 is find a therapist and expect a long-term process here. They're not going to come with answers right away. That's what a coach is for. They give you answers. This is what you're going to do, X, Y, Z. This is how it's going to work. Therapy, you do the majority of the talking. And 7, talk to an expert. You can begin with someone that you know that's gone through the process. They're going to be very valuable and they're going to validate what you're feeling. Basically, you need mental clarity. Should you hire an attorney? Before answering this question, I need to address that there's 4 ways to get divorced. First is do it yourself. If you have assets, that's going to be an impossibility. Second, mediation, and I recommend that to the majority of the guys I work with. Third, collaborative divorce. That's attorneys getting involved, but you have to sign something saying that you will not take this to trial, or the attorneys don't get to represent you. You got to go somewhere else. And last, the one that everyone thinks of is litigation. Those are the attorneys that you're going to be talking to and people are going to recommend. That's all of them. Think about attorneys as a defensive purpose rather than offense. And unfortunately, in family law, people use them for offensive purposes, to attack rather than defend. And that's why a lot of people say that the laws are stacked up against men. So should you hire one? Only if your wife has already hired one, then you need to. That, or if you're having custody issues, then you need to. Otherwise, try to prevent it at any cost. 70% of you guys will be retaining an attorney. But if you do, know this. Attorneys tend to complicate the divorce a lot more than you think. On average, it's going to take 9 to 18 months to get divorced through an attorney, versus if you do it yourself or if you do it through mediation, you're looking at 3 to 6 months to get divorced. Add to it that you're averaging $15,000 per case. Yeah, it's going to get both expensive legally, fiscally, and time-wise. Doesn't mean that you can't interview attorneys. You need to know the laws, you need to know what you're responsible for and what you're not responsible for. So absolutely begin interviewing attorneys. I often recommend at least 3, but that doesn't mean you need to stop there. You don't retain an attorney unless you have to, and that's if she's using an attorney herself. How long is this gonna last? As a divorce expert, I better have some kind of idea here. You're looking at about 2 years, but it really does depend on how motivated you are to change. Sometimes you remain stuck in your what ifs. Motivational science is based upon self-determination, meaning how competent you are at what you're doing. Second, autonomy, that's another part. As in knowing your options, the more options you have, the more motivated you are. And third is your relatability. In this case being how comfortable you are now that you're single. And if you could handle those 3 parts, you're gonna recover really well. So what's the best advice? Let me begin by giving the worst advice, and that's to give it time, because giving it time, you're giving away all your power. That goes against autonomy and goes against self-determination. You'll lose drive and motivation. As for best advice, focus on yourself. Focusing on yourself is the #1 predictor in your divorce recovery. And there's 4 key aspects that you need to work on. First is to love yourself. Second is embracing your new role. That goes with the rules of relatability when it comes to self-determination. Third is to make more money. Your finances are going to be important. And again, that follows autonomy and self-determination. And last, people call it shallow, whatever they want, but the data's there. Success in dating. The more successful you are in dating, the better your outcome, bottom line. You work on these 4 predictors correctly, and by the end of next year, you're gonna be glad it happened. How will your relationship with your kid be at the end of 1 year? Well, let's talk cause and effect. You can't rely on your kids to improve your quality of life. Data's shown that that's minimal and the relationship gets worse. So it's quite the opposite. You need to have a great quality of life in order to have a good relationship with your kids, which is the ultimate goal. Improve your life, you're gonna improve your kid's life. That's why focusing on yourself is key when it comes to your recovery. And that's why it's the #1 predictor. Major blunder that guys make is failing to see the obvious. You have to accept your new reality. I did a study called The Quality of Life After Divorce, and where I surveyed men, and the worst part of the divorce is not the initial portion, not the 0 to 3 months. It's the 3 to 6 months part. That's because reality is starting to kick in. That's the hardest part of the divorce. But you have to realize that she's been gone and thinking about this for at least 2 years, meaning that she's not just 1 chapter ahead of you, she's multiple chapters ahead of you. Your job now is to play catch up, speed up the process, move ahead on those chapters. She's moved on. You have to let go. And the way you do that is through self-determination. Do men recover different in divorce? That's the paradox, because that's what data shows. A lot of people say it's because we don't let our emotions out. We just bottle them in, but that's not why. In fact, data shows that if you talk about your problems, you may feel slightly better at the end, but you're going to be reliving the trauma over and over again. So it's going to backfire in the long run. What you have to do is stay solution focused. And the guys that recover the hardest, they're the guys with the more traditional roles, like soldiers, boxers, fighters. They're slower to respond. And that's because they're stuck in the traditional ideas of recovery. Meanwhile, your ex, she may be feeling guilty, but at the same time, she's still living. You have to think outside the box, think different. So should you date? Let's take the legal process out of this, because every state's different. Now let's define dating, because if you're dating for the casual hookup, sure. But if you're dating for long term, maybe not. But data does show that it does help to date and to start socializing when you're getting divorced. But if you're dating for something more meaningful, something more long term, you're probably not ready. You have to give it at least 2 years. Women tend to be pretty good at cornering men, asking what we want in a relationship. Don't lie. Don't date on someone else's dime. Say something like, I want to get to know the person before I commit to getting a long-term relationship. Let's talk, let's get to know one another, let's see if there's chemistry there. That's all you need to say. But keep in mind that 67% of second marriages, that they fail. And one of the main reasons, a key factor, is that expectations that they're not met. Now that you're out in the field, what should you expect? To learn your value. Dating after divorce is much easier than you think. If it's harder for you to date than before you were married, then you're doing it wrong. Simple as that. Data shows that older men have an easier time dating than older women. Bottom line. And behavioral data shows that while women peak at 24, men's sexual market value, it peaks in their late 30s. So if you're not seeing this trend in your life, then opportunity missed. Simple as that. Did marriage slowly re-raise my edge? Probably means sex appeal. And yes, chances are that you did. The reason why is because there's 3 types of love according to Greek philosophy. First one is philos. And philos is more of a brotherly love. The second one, eros, which is the erotic love, the desirability factor, lust. Third one, agape love, is the all-encompassing love. It's non-conditional. And you started getting more into the agape love, the non-conditional, where you love your kids. It does not matter what takes place or what doesn't take place. They're always going to be there. No matter what they do, you're always going to love them. And you start going into the agape love. A little known fact is that women need erotic love more than we give them credit for. So while you're out there thinking that every woman desires security, what they really want often, not always, they need to see you sexy. So yes, you did lose that edge of yours. Why does being a nice guy feel like it backfired? Goes back to the edge question. You lost it. You started confusing agape love for erotic love, two different things. In the West, we think of love as one all-encompassing word when it's not that way. You lost the erotic love and switched to agape. Bottom line, you're the nice guy. Your challenge now is not to ever let that happen again. But she started seeing you as safe. It's comfort, but it's not sexy. Does sex help in your recovery? I'll keep this brief. If you're doing it to get over your ex, don't. If you're doing it for attachment purposes, don't. But if you're doing it to have fun and enjoy yourself, go ahead. Look around my channel, subscribe, like, and comment where you're at in the divorce. But most important, make the most intelligent decision that you're going to be making throughout the entire ordeal. Schedule a consult. They're free, they're confidential, and they really are life-changing. The link is in the comment section underneath. So what is closure? Closure is the politically correct way of forgiving. Now, before we go any further, you need to know that there's three types of forgiveness. Exoneration, which is you're completely forgiven and done or with, let's just move forward and let's not talk about it anymore. Then there's forbearance. Forbearance is more like conditional forgiveness. I forgive you, but, and last, release. And that's the type of closure that I hope that you guys have. And that's, you're really forgotten, not forgiven. You don't think about them as much anymore. It's done. It was a past of your life and over with. Think of closure as a type of forgiveness. And forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to like the person. It just means that you moved on.